Hey, I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken. Podcast, 31 days, day 24. And once again, we've got Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb podcast back talking with us. And today, guys, we are talking 1980s John Carpenter classic, The Fog. How you doing, Darren?
I'm good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, Darren, you know, the toughest thing about these shows is the people don't know that we film them back to back to back. So we have to act like, hey, how you doing?
I was going to change my shirt as well, you know. I'm just going to put something else on there so it makes it look like another day. Or even change the color of my lights here or something.
You want to change them real quick so people will know?
My lights? Let me change my lights 1 second. Here we go. Let's have a look at this.
This is quite the setup you got here. Sex swing's going to drop down here in a minute.
There we go. That's another day.
There you go. It's not the same day. We didn't just finish doing another review. It's me and Darren because he loves our channel and we love his channel. And this is another one of the movies that when I put out the schedule, Darren was like, I will gladly talk to you guys about The Fog. And I'm going to hit you right off the bat, Darren. What were your first, I know you've probably done 15 shows on your channel, but the lowbrow people that watch our channel are not probably familiar with your work. So what was your first like interaction with The Fog, the first time you watched it, your first time thoughts, things like that?
So in the UK, it was on TV in Christmas, like Christmas '83 or something like that. And we have a TV magazine in the UK called the Radio Times. I don't quite know what it's called, the Radio Times, when it's about television. But anyway, the Christmas edition of that magazine, I used to love getting that. So you could find out what all the big movies were that were going to be on Christmas. Is Superman going to be on? Is Star Wars going to be on? And then one night, I think it was like 2 nights after Christmas or something, there was a little advert in the bottom corner for The Fog. And all it had was the hand reaching out for Jamie Lee Curtis, that kind of iconic poster image. And underneath it said, from the guy who brought you Halloween. I'd just seen Halloween, I think, maybe the year before. And I was interested. And you start watching that film and you get Halloween vibes straight away. You know, it's Carpenter through and through. Even the people that he uses in the movie are fresh off the set of the Halloween movies or the Escape from New York movies or whatever. Depending on what day it is, I could wake up some days and say that The Fog is a better movie than Halloween. I love it that much.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what I think about The Fog. I love the music and I love the scenario because deep down, it could be whatever type of movie you want it to be. It could be a ghost story. It could be a zombie movie. It could be a combined movie. It could be a revenge movie. It's really well done. The characters are all, I think, perfect for what they do, though I'm listening to ask you a lot of good questions that you're probably going to be mad at me about. But I love the music. Like the beginning of this movie might be the best beginning of any Carpenter movie to me, because you're going to know the British guy who's telling the story to the kids. What's his name?
Oh, John Machin. Houseman.
I only know him from the movie Scrooged. He's doing the voiceover for the Scrooge play, and at the end of it, he's like, "And the world will be a better place." Right there. That's where I know him from. But the beginning of this movie, I'm guessing it's like Boy Scouts, and he is telling a ghost story. He is all in on this ghost story to the point where every time I watch this movie, it creeps me out a little bit with the score and his voice and inflection of the way he's telling the story, which is kind of ridiculous, him being this into it, telling these kids that he's going to have to put to sleep here in a minute, that at Antonio Bay, we molested a bunch of pirates and stole their money. And that was 100 years ago.
11:55. And the pocket watch snaps. Brilliant opening sequence. Yeah, great setup for this, for the 100th anniversary of Antonio Bay. And yeah, the witching hour then begins, and lots of mad shit starts happening. Car alarms going, car horns going off, TVs shutting down, switching back on again, lights going out. And then one of the best performances ever in a Carpenter film by John Carpenter himself. He is awful in this film when he does that little scene. Father, can I get paid?
So here's my question. That was the first note I had. What the hell does John Carpenter do for this priest to get paid?
He sweeps. That's it.
The priest can't sweep the church.
He's cleaning up his empties. That's what he's doing all the time.
I come around every day to sweep up the beer cans. You're right. He's horrible. The next question I had was, you're right. Everything starts going haywire all over the town. So I guess I'm kind of confused because I'm not a very good movie watcher. Why didn't the pirates invade at that point? If it's activating the curse, if it's the 100th anniversary, why didn't they come at that point?
Because
why did they wait till the next the following night? I guess is what I'm asking.
That particular point is the start of that day. So the whole thing takes place in one day, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the kind of the calling, if you like.
Yeah.
It's then mad shit starts going wrong all day long, doesn't it? Because there's a fog bank out there. The guys on the sea ground.
I don't see a fog bank out there. There ain't no fog bank out there. Oh, there's a fog bank out there.
Fog bank out there. Hey, there's a fog bank out there.
Yours is better than mine, but still. But no, they're knocking on Tom Atkins' door. Darren, if Tom Atkins goes and opens the door with the thing, whatever's not obviously a pirate knocking on his door, does it kill Tom Atkins? Is what I'm asking you.
I guess so.
Which goes back to my original question: why didn't the fog just roll in and take them out at that point?
I don't know. I mean, because that'd be too soon.
Look, Ronnie, we got 80 more minutes to fill. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it didn't, dummy.
You had to give Atkins time to work his magic on Jamie Lee Curtis. Even though his windshield blew out. Do you know what? If that was me, I'd be like, shit, I'll go get my car fixed. I ain't jumping in a bed with you.
Well, it was the middle of the night. Here's the deal. Was it 12:05 whenever everything went haywire or something like that?
Yeah.
Blake is like fascinated with like headlight shots in movies and how like all of a sudden, boom, there's a person there.
Yeah.
And like this movie has like one of the best examples out there. Tom Atkins is driving without the mustache, by the way. So
yeah.
I mean, it's less Tom Atkins than we needed. So Tom Atkins is driving down the road, this dark road. And then all of a sudden you just got Jamie Lee hanging over like right here in the middle of the road after midnight. Here's a question I wanted to ask you, and I'm not trying to get us off the rails, I promise. But back during the 70s and 80s, like hitchhiking was really big here in the United States. So over in England, were you guys insane and hitchhiking everywhere? Because the fact that she's out past midnight without trying to hide somewhere and trying to get a ride off somebody that would be out past midnight is scarier than anything that fog could roll in my opinion.
Yeah, the hitchhiking in the UK is not a thing. I have seen people, but it's usually people on a motorway with a number plate in their hand, a license plate, because they've broken down or whatever. And, anyway.
Why would they have their license plate in hand to prove that they have a car?
There is some thing, I don't know what it is. It's a sign to other truck drivers or something that this person, I don't know, whatever. It's not a thing in the UK. I never see hitchhikers anywhere at all. Would you hitchhike?
No.
Jesus Christ. I had the worst time driving across LA with Frank a few weeks ago. The doors were well and truly locked. I would not get out of that car. We went through downtown LA.
No.
And geez, was it interesting. You've got people living in burnt out cars, sad situation. And then like somebody naked on the corner of the street chanting away, and it was just scary. I wouldn't ever get out of the car in America like that, or stand on the side of the road trying to flag someone down.
They were happy about age 45. That's the reason they were going there. You notice people out there in YouTube land knows how Darren said interesting. We get it. There were like millions of people murdered over here, Darren, in the 70s and 80s just from hitchhiking alone. Like it was like an order up. It was like a Uber service for serial killers. You just drive down the road. Hey, here's 2 women right here that want to ride. Y'all get in. And they never seen again.
Yeah.
You bring up his windshield getting burst. Like Jamie Lee Curtis. The first question I have, and then I'm going to follow up, Darren. She jumps in the car with Tom Atkins. And let's just admit it. Little roadhead to get her down 20 miles down the road. I mean, that's what she was doing, right? I need you to get me to Vancouver. In order to do that, I know the way of the road. Little roadhead, which turned into I need a place to stay, which turned into I guess just plow this field. I'll spend the night with you, and you'll get me where I'm needing to go tomorrow. It doesn't work out like that for her, but I mean, she's a woman of the night, right?
Yeah. And he doesn't even ask her a name until afterwards. Am I right?
Yeah. He's got a bad habit of not asking people their name or how old they are in movies whenever he takes them to bed. Like in Halloween 3, he asked the robot how old she is after he once again, 80s.
Well, the thing is with that as well, I think he was probably around about in his late 40s when he did Halloween 3. And Stacey Nelkin was like 21 or something like that. So you had this 49-year-old dude with this fucking porno tash getting together with Stacey Nelkin. And then when you see them at the conventions and everything, they're sat next to each other. Bless, he looks like a granddad sat at the side of her there. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's what, 87 or something like that now? And he's
84.
Well, everybody says that, but when you Google him, it comes up with 87.
Really?
Yeah. He
probably wanted to trim 3 years off so he could get better roles.
Yeah, probably. But he's amazing, and I had a little interaction with him, which was kind of odd at the convention. In the morning, he was in my hotel, and I went downstairs and. I went up to him and I held out my hand and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Atkins, can I shake your hand just in case I don't get a chance for the rest of the weekend?" And he just looked at me and went, "No selfies." And I was like, I said, "I'm not asking for a selfie. I'm just going to shake your hand, sir. Is that okay?" And he went, "Yeah."
You should have been with me and Blake. We'd have showed you how to handle that situation. You walk up trying to show attention to this dickhead that nobody's thought about since Maniac Cop 2, Maniac Cop 1, whenever it was. And he's gonna first thing is he don't even know what a selfie is. He's 85 years old. No, I'd have walked off. We've done that before, Darren. We went to WrestleMania. Jim Ross was acting like a dickhead. My brother waited in line for 2 hours just so he could walk right past his damn table and not give him anything.
But later on the Sunday, we did this drinks with Atkins session, and so Frank and I went up to him, and he remembered me from the morning, the couple of days before. And as I walked up to him, he just pointed at me and went. He put on the worst like British accent ever. He was kind of like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, and he just went, "All right, mate," like that. And I was just like, "Oh, okay. So you're going to be racist as well."
You're a dickhead and you're a racist. You're an American.
No, he was a sweetheart. He was always forgiven. We had a drink with him, and he was very polite.
Did he say no selfies? I bet he didn't say that shit when he know you had paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was fine when fucking $300 crossed his hand.
All right, Darren, you're taking us off the rails with your convention stories. Here's a real thing you need to answer for me. Why does Antonio Bay only have one radio station, and why is it like the golden jingle hour?
She's lovely in this film, isn't she? Isn't she?
She's. You're not going to like when I say this, but she's always been very manly to me. The way she treated Thornton Mellon in Back to School, I've got nothing for her in any of her movies.
She is like Carpenter's very good. He's always been progressive with roles with either black people or women, or in the 70s when very few there were very few leading black men in Hollywood pictures. He did it with The Thing. He did it with Assault on Precinct 13, and then with Stevie Wayne in The Fog, a strong woman who is holding this whole film together, coordinating this kind of response to what's going on from the sky. And I have to tell you, Frank and I went to the church, the Fog Church, a couple of weeks ago. We went there, we went inside, we took some photographs, and we came out. This was in Sierra Madre in California. And we came out and we sat in the car, and Frank got the sat nav out and said, right, should we go to the lighthouse now? And I went, yeah, sure. He punched in the thing and he went, we're not going to the lighthouse. It's 10 hours away.
Oh, well, I mean, that is amazing that you guys got to go there. Was Father Malone still there?
No, but Frank did stand in the spot where he likes to hide out and pounce on people. Yeah. Remember the scene with Janet Leigh where he just kind of leaps out of nowhere with a bottle of gin?
Yeah.
We went to that exact spot, but great little place. And it's round the corner from the Buccaneer from Halloween 3. And the shot from Halloween 2 where Michael Myers bumps into the kid with the boombox, it's all within walking distance in this little area.
I never knew it was all that close. I was going to bring up, and we're going back to the radio station, don't you worry. But I was going to bring up one of the things I love about The Fog is, and Blake always makes fun of me for this, is the scenery is beautiful. Like her driving to that lighthouse, to that radio station, it's some of the prettiest scenery that you're going to see in a movie. And it was hard for me to believe that was actually in California.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're on the show. I would have thought it was filmed in England, because in England you see a lot of like landscapes like that, or at least that's what I've been conditioned to think England looks like. But I would have loved to seen that lighthouse. I mean,
maybe we'll, I'll go one day or something like that. But I don't know if I could I'm 50 years old this year. I don't know if I can make those stairs. How many stairs are there to that damn thing?
There's too many. I weigh 500 pounds, so there's no way I'd be like Gilbert Grape's mom whenever she goes to the car. That would be me trying to get up those stairs.
Gilbert Grape's mom.
But no, this radio station, I don't think it's brought up enough. It's playing these golden jingles or whatever. I'm Stevie Wayne, and hopefully your hands in your and 2 more this hour. Get ready, Charles Cyphers. So, I mean, what's your best Stevie Wayne impression? I got to get this while you're on here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ahoy there. You're out on the seagrass tonight with Frank. I just want you guys to know, if Frank touches your more than once, it's not an accident. We've got news and weather in the next hour.
I actually met her last week, 2 weeks ago. She was lovely. She was really, and she's tiny, like literally. I'll send you a picture of me and her, but she is literally tiny. And it was a pleasure meeting her. And, the end of that film, I probably like the best when she turns around at the end and says, to the ships at sea who can hear my voice, look for the fog.
I just think the movie would be a lot more believable if she was playing Hall & Oates. What I want, you got, it might be hard to handle, like a flame or something like that.
Yes.
I can actually argue, Darren, that Stevie Wayne and I've got the name right here, Kathy Williams, might be the 2 most heartless people in this movie. And I say this because the opening kill of the movie, which the 3 guys on the boat, which I thought was like a middle-aged playhouse. We just get on our boat and we go out in the water and we get drunk and then we come back in, a playhouse for like middle-aged people. So I need a boat. So what I'm talking about is after her husband apparently is missing, possibly dead, she has none of it. It's just I've got to get this 100th anniversary ceremony. I'm going to focus my attention in that. I'm not worried. And then they come and tell her, hey, the other guy's dead. We haven't found your husband yet. Look, I'm just going to focus all my attention right there. And the chick with her is Annie from Halloween is like, hey, if you're not a human, we can go to this ceremony, but if you want to go home, it's okay. Your husband's dead. No, I don't even want to think about it.
Well, he probably gets drunk and beats her up all the time.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to. He beat the conscience out of me. So, then you've got Stevie Wayne, who appears to be a single parent. Husband is in one of those pictures. I would assume he got arrested after running over some kids and getting a DUI. So he's probably in jail, and now she's taken what little bit of money they have, and she's invested it into this lighthouse / radio where she's playing music. It's going to get her no advertisers. So
what is it, like a jazz radio station or something, isn't it?
It's like jazz.
Yeah.
It's one radio station. I'm telling you, Hall & Oates would be. Tom Atkins would have been listening to Hall & Oates when he picked up Jamie Lee Curtis.
Or some Lover Boy or something like that.
She's at home with her kid, same kid that got the razor blade in his teeth and Halloween too.
Yeah.
Did you know there's not like one? I may be wrong. Hit me in the comments if I'm wrong. Did you know the big hysteria about Halloween candy in the 80s in the United States and having razor blades and apples and brownies? There's not one occurrence, not one documented occurrence of a kid biting into candy with a razor blade in it. It was just made up hysteria to get you not to eat candy.
Was it a thing? Because I'd never heard of it until I saw Halloween 2, and I actually struggled to see what it was when on an old VHS when I first saw the movie. I was like, what the hell is in his mouth? Yeah. And then when I found out it was a razor blade, I was like, well, who the fuck is going to do that? You know,
there's a lot of crazy people over here, Darren. Edit. So look, you're a little bit younger than me. I'm in my early 60s, but my parents would not let me take any kind, like if we went to a person's house where they had made individualized brownies and wrapped them up, my parents would take them and throw them in the trash. They're like, if it's not like in a bag, because you're not going to bite into any poison or you're not going to bite into any razor blades. Like it was a big thing here where people actually thought people were putting razor blades and poison in Halloween candy. Now, I think there have been some occurrences, some documented occurrences where some old people put poison in Halloween candy, but there's never been one that's on file anywhere where somebody's bitten into a razor blade. And you've got like Halloween 2 does that bit, Night of the Demons does that bit, but they do the bit in Night of the Demons where that dude was like way off his rocker. He like cut the razor blade into tiny little pieces and put it in the apple. So like just destroy the throat at the end of it, but he accidentally ate it. So it was all good. She seems like a good mother, which really shocked me when she sees the fog rolling in, when the goes down, she sees the fog rolling in and she makes no attempt to get to her son. She's just on the radio and she's like, if anybody can get to my son, please get to my son. You have a car, go get in your car and go try to save your son. And then, I wouldn't have thought nothing of that. But then she goes, to my son, if you can even hear me, I'm sorry, but I have to warn people about the fog. No, them, edit. You can go get your son and then come back to the radio station. And then
I told you, she's 10 hours away.
I work 10 hours away.
No, I know what you're saying, but she sees that she's got a responsibility to kind of coordinate the sort of, the troops on the ground, as it were, to get through the night. She's got the old lady looking after the kid, so fat lot of good she did. Well,
it's like a wrestler. The boy distracted her. I think she could have took one of the pirates. She turned her back, and then the pirate was able to come across and get her. But I think if she's about 280, I think if she would have been facing him, she could at least put her weight into it and took them both off of there, which is another question. The fog is everywhere. And I'm not, I know it seems like I'm counteracting everything great you say about this movie. And for people in the comments, I love this movie. I just want to have some fun talking about this. the fog is everywhere. How many pirates are we talking about? Is it the same pirates in every section? Is it like if fog comes into, okay, let's say we were in opposite rooms right now, Darren, and fog came into mine and then fog came into yours. Is it the same 6 ghost pirates or 5 ghost pirates in mine that is you? Or is it like hundreds of different pirates?
I think wasn't it like a leper colony or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
it was.
there's quite a lot of them, I think. But obviously they're led by this guy Blake, aren't they? Who's the who's after the 6, the 6 people that need to die in exchange for him getting his gold back.
Out of the 6 people that they needed to die, did all of them have some kind of like significance to the townspeople who caused them to crash among the rocks and die?
I think they're all kind of ancestors, aren't they? Because Father Malone, his grandfather was the one who stole the gold and melted it down into that cross that's hidden in the wall.
So the townsfolk thought that the gold sank in the water, I'm guessing. Okay.
Yeah.
So Charles Cyphers was obviously a part of this, and the 3 guys in the boat were ancestors of people that did stuff. Okay.
I would have thought so. I think that's what everybody, it's a small town, isn't it? So I think everybody in some way is linked to what happened. There's a line in there that says something along the lines of, because it's their 100-year celebration. And he turns around and says, "We're honoring murderers."
Yeah.
Which is effectively what the town did back then, 100 years before.
Was Jamie Lee Curtis needed in this movie?
No, absolutely not. This movie works without her completely, but obviously she was a name back then. She just off the back of, was she done Halloween 2 at that point, or she just about to do Halloween 2? But she'd certainly, she'd done Terror Train and Halloween and a couple of other crappy slasher films, I think. And I think, Deborah Hill was obviously a big friend of hers, and they needed a name. They needed a name for the poster. Like, they had Hal Holbrook, but, that's not going to get teens in. Nick Castle, as sexy as he is, wasn't going to get teens in either. So I think putting her name on an image on the poster really helped the film. But if you take her out of this film, it still works. She adds nothing to it whatsoever, apart from a mustache ride. That's it.
Yeah, she has a sex scene. One of the dead bodies gets up and comes after her. Why didn't the pirates kill her? I know that's a question that can't be answered. And the most she does in the movie is when they go, because Tom Atkins is the one that goes and saves Stevie Wayne's kid. After they save the kid, she is now in the driver's seat. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. This is a stick shift. And she immediately cannot drive that car. She like almost burns the clutch out. It's stuck in the mud. She doesn't know how to shift it. She drives the truck for the remainder of the car. The remainder of the movie. That's all she really brought to the table, other than asking Tom Atkins in a very weird question when they're going out to try to find the seagrass. Is it always like this? And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Is he always going out looking for his buddies that might be dead? And he goes, it's always different.
Yeah.
Maybe she's meaning, is it always like this with your one night stands? It's always different. Sometimes they rob me. My bad.
But no, she's absolutely pointless in this film, other than a name for the movie. That's it. Everybody gets on fine without her, and it's a shame because Adrian, she always gets credited as the star of this film, and Adrienne Barbeau, Stevie Wayne, is the heroine of it completely. But she never comes into contact with anybody else. It's interesting that she comes into contact with her son and with Mrs. Colbritz, and that's it. That's the only that's the only screen time that she has. So given that it's 10 hours away, I'm wondering they probably filmed all the stuff down in Sierra Madre first, and then took Adrienne Barbeau up to the lighthouse and did all her stuff separately.
I was going to ask if you thought there was some kind of symbolism in that. She never comes in contact with anybody but her son, because she's the narration of the movie, and she's like the voice, the author's voice of trying to help the characters out of where to go. But I mean, I'm sure they didn't put that much thought. I'm sure it's what you just said. Hey, that's 10 hours away. Let's film it over there.
But no, she's my favorite character in the film by far. You know, Atkins is, secondary, I think, in this. He doesn't really do much either, apart from pull the kid through the window.
I was about to say you probably could cut Tom Atkins out, and it's probably the same movie.
It probably is, yeah.
Back and forth between Stevie Wayne, the father, and Janet Leigh. And you say all that. This movie
he needs to be in it. There's a fog back out there.
This movie is what it is because of the characters and the little bit that they did that meant a lot, if that makes sense. The movie wraps up with her narrating everybody towards the church. And like I said, Darren, I say it a million times, I'm not a very good movie watcher. So this is one of the few times that I've noticed that the fog is leading a certain amount of people towards that church. It didn't just roll in steady. It's leading the main characters of the movie towards the church because it's not worried. This curse is not worried about the people in the town. They could have easily killed 6 people rolling into the town. They're after a certain specific group of people. And it's Father Malone at the church, and you wonder if it's any of these other ones that are going to get killed. I think the biggest tension part of the movie might be the church, second being when Jamie Lee Curtis is sitting next to that body you can see moving in the background. But these shots in the church are some of the best shots of the movie. You get to see the shadowed pirates as they're all standing out there with the fog machine underneath them. And it's just it's a really well done ending of this movie. And I thought it wrapped up nice until they take the gold and they don't kill Father Malone. So was this all about the gold, or was it about revenge? If it was all about the gold, the fog should have went straight to the church to find the gold. But at the end of it, we get the John Carpenter ending where everybody thinks everything's gone. And like you said, Stevie Wayne gives that great epilogue, if you want to call it that, or whatever you say, about watch the fog. And then, the guy from Designing Women gets killed by Blake is what I was going to say, but nobody would get that. But I mean, Blake turns around. I mean, not Blake. Father Malone turns around, and the last thing you see is Blake hitting him with the sword, and we get the John Carpenter open-ended ending, if you will. So, really good movie. Darren. Yeah, really good movie.
You say, you're not very good at watching films. I don't know what you mean by that, because you're asking great questions, and you've totally this film well. Why do you keep saying I'm not very good at watching films?
I feel like I miss stuff is what I'm saying, like the most obvious stuff. Like I have the stupid questions in my head that I want answered, like when Adrienne Barbeau climbs to the top of the light tower and she's hugging the top. I thought she had the best idea in the movie. You go to the top of the water tower the top of the light tower, whenever the pirate climbs up the ladder, all she had to do was let go, slide down, kick the pirate in the face. He's knocked off. Then she could climb back to the top. She could keep doing that move over and over. It's like playground style, but she didn't do that. Instead, she just got stabbed. But what I'm talking about is when I watch movies, like I'll see these videos and breakdowns. Oh, so-and-so was doing this. He was leaning counterclockwise. That should have told you right there that he was the killer. I miss all that stuff. All I want to know is if Tom Atkins had opened the door or been out on the porch pissing and the fog rolled in, would they have hacked that monster off?
It's the ending of this film is as you said, classic Carpenter. It's has a real sting in the tail. They did say all along 6 must die, and whether it was written on it was on the piece of wood, right?
Driftwood from the ship.
Driftwood, yeah. And the audience, because everything's been resolved, the audience automatically thinks, okay, and the nice music comes in and it's all over. But that point when he questions it and says, why not 6? Why not me? And you get that shot of the bottom of the door and the fog just kind of, dances through. And then as he turns around, Blake's already stood there. Blake, played by Rob Bottin, the makeup effects guy. that noise as well, as he swings that sword and it cuts
Yes.
to black, and that slice that you get, that obviously being decapitated, it really stays with you as you hit the credits, and then obviously the fog music comes in, and that's one of the things that Dave McRae always says. When you're watching a horror film and the movie ends, one of his bugbears, and it's one of mine as well, is cutting to a 80s hair metal track or something like that. I watched Talk to Me recently, and a very atmospheric and creepy film, and then when the music ends, some like rap song came on the credits, and I totally get that. You need to let everything kind of rest, and while the credits are on, soak it all up. You put a Def Leppard song on the credits, you're out of the movie straight away. Do you know what I mean? But this has that ominous kind of fog march or whatever it's called that kicks in immediately as he gets decapitated, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, just like at the end of Revenge of the Nerds when they go into We Are the Champions into the credit scenes. I agree with you and Dave 100%. That's what you gotta do with it. Last thing I want to talk about before we rate this bad boy. Adrienne Barbeau takes a hook into the shoulder. If those pirates had killed her, she's number 6. Would they have disappeared, or was it all about taking down Father Malone? And if they kill her, then Father Malone makes 7, or is that things we're not supposed to think about?
I think they're trying to stop her from doing what she's doing. It's a good point, though. Would that have been 6?
Were they lured to her because she had the driftwood?
Well, she was. I guess so. Yeah, she found the driftwood or the doubloon or whatever it was initially. But it's a good point. If she'd have fallen off that lighthouse, would the fog have just disappeared?
Okay, when we do a remake of the Fog, that's what needs to happen. Somebody just commits suicide 6 times, and then everybody else is saved, and the ghosts are like, "Damn it!" All right, Darren, that's the Fog, 1981, I think.
80,
so
80.
My bad. Edit. So 1 through 10. What are you rating John Carpenter's The Fog?
9.
9. Okay, so good. That's a high rating. I went 8.1, which is a huge rating for me.
The 0.1.
Well, I like putting the points in there. That way it's not just one solid number. That way, if there's a movie that I think is an 8, we know that The Fog is 0.1 better than that. So if there's another movie that
gives the impression that you've really thought about it as well.
Oh, I haven't, but I mean, it does. I mean, it's the theater of the absurd here on ATGNAT. So, hit us in the comments, guys. What were your favorite parts of The Fog? What didn't me and Darren talk about? What is your rating? That's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Should Adrienne Barbeau have jumped off the top of that lighthouse and killed herself, like Darren said, to save Father Malone so he could continue drinking because he was thirsty? Guys, make sure you check out the Slaughtered Lamb podcast. I say this every time Darren and Frank are on the show. I think they are the best YouTube channel out there. It's my personal opinion. If you don't like their channel, put that in the comments too. So make sure you go and check those guys out. It's October the 24th, which means we are 7 days away from Halloween. And if there's one thing I know about YouTube, it's that horror YouTubers are so depressed when Halloween's over, because then they can only do Halloween content 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week. Yeah. You got anything you want to add, Darren?
No, that sums it all up, I think. We're going to do a little bit of Halloween, I think, a little bit more.
Exactly.
We'll do a little bit more, I think. People love it. You can talk about anything and people will watch if it's Halloween based. You should have seen some of the tut they were selling at the convention. Like I was looking at like Dr. Sam Loomis socks. You know, who's buying
his actual socks, or was it just socks?
No, his socks, but socks with his face on them.
I would buy those. How much were they?
Oh, about $4, something like that.
4? I mean, hell yeah, I'd wear those. No doubt about it. That doesn't bother me as much as the $700 dolls you guys were buying.
The Atkins doll. They were 60.
No selfies.
Yeah, no selfies. They were $60, but then immediately people were putting them on eBay for up to $800. There was 1,000 made. That was it.
what you should have done is you should have got Frank to unzip his fly. That way, you guys took the picture with him and then sent the picture to Tom Atkins so he would have that picture. Edit. All right, Darren. We'll see you one more day this week. Thank you, bud. In all seriousness, thanks for coming on here and dealing with this absurd crap. I love it when you come on the show. We miss Blake.
We do.
Our Blake, not Blake the Pirate.
No.